Hello, everybody. It's Pastor Chris Wilson from St. Andrew Christian Church, and here to talk about the sermon this coming week. And before I talk about the sermon this week, we are beginning a new series this Sunday, or actually Wednesday, but this Sunday is the first Sunday of the season of Lent, and so we have several weeks of the season of Lent. So we have a new series, a new kind of theme, a new approach to that season. And the series for Lent is called Roots to Fruits. It's kind of a silly kind of name maybe, but the idea is we're using the imagery of a tree and we're building the tree through the season of Lent. So each week will be a different dynamic of the tree. And so this first week of Lent, we'll be looking at the first part of the tree, which is the roots. And so the scripture, the theme, everything is related around roots and foundation and the beginning of the growth of the tree itself. And so we'll be looking at, throughout the entire series, we'll be looking at the Gospel of Luke. And the passage this week is in Luke chapter 3. And this might be one of the harder passages for me to read, not because it's a challenging topic, but it's got challenging words in it to actually pronounce. It's Luke's version of the genealogy of Jesus. It goes back all the generations that lead to Jesus' birth and all the generations that came before him. And to me, when I think about the roots, it's knowing where we come from. Before we can go forward, where do we come from before we go forward? And I think one of the things that's helpful to us is thinking of genealogy in lots of ways. We can think of our own personal, familial genealogy. Where do I come from? What does my family history look like? What are the things of my birth parents and my siblings and aunts and uncles and grandparents? How have they had a difference in shaping who I am? What is some of the DNA that travels from them to me? And then I think of the genealogy of my faith tradition. And like any family tree, Christianity has, these are good relatives, these are relatives I'd rather not show up at the party. We have all that fun history with our own faith genealogy. And Jesus understands his Jewish roots. He's living in a multi-religious, multicultural context. And before he enters that world and begins to proclaim and preach, he needs to know something about who he is, where he comes from. And even though there is the source of God, of his ultimate where he comes from, there is a sense of his earthly genealogy and how important that is in terms of him going forward and proclaiming something that's important to him. And so this very first week of Lent, we're starting kind of at the ground level, the underpinnings of who we are. We peel back before we move forward, take the first step. We kind of look back and know where we came from before we go forward. So I hope you'll join us as we embark on this new journey of Lent, as we encounter the roots part of our theme of Roots to Fruits.